webcam to the kitchen. Okay, I hope that you are nice and stable up there. So, millet, let's have a look. Here we go. This is our millet grain. So I hope that you can see it. You can see here it's kind of round and it's this light yellow grain. And so today in our cooking class, I'm going to show you how to make millet patties. And I hope that you can see the recipe that I've posted in the description there. So that is the recipe, the ingredients that we're going to use. I'm just going to put my apron on. And I should also give a shout out to the International Macrobiotic School, whose kitchen I am in and using today. And the International Macrobiotic School is a school very close to my heart, and I really owe a lot to this school for just teaching me so much about what it is that I know today around food and health and well-being. And I'm just so grateful and feel so blessed to be a part of the school and to get to use this kitchen. So I'm tying my hair up. I'm just going to give my hands. Okay, so to begin with, I've got my millet, and I'm going to start by measuring out the millet. So I have my saucepan here. You cannot see me. Let me do that. There you go. I think that's better, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to start off by, let me just talk about millet first, actually, because this grain, I'd love for you to all be on Zoom right now, so I could have like a little hands up of who has used this grain before, who knows this grain. I know that when before I started eating in this way, I had never, I didn't really know millet. The only time that I think I'd seen it before was in feeding birds. You might have seen it, and I know that my dad always jokes with me now, oh, millet is like bird food. But millet is this beautiful whole grain here. So we're going to start off by measuring out 1 cup of millet straight into the pan here. So 1 cup of millet has gone into the pan, and then we need to rinse this millet. With all whole grains, we need to give them a rinse. So normally you could just take this over to the sink, but I'm going to see if I can do it here today. So to rinse, you just add your water straight into the pan, just enough water to cover. And then I'm going to use my hands to swirl around. And then you'll start to see that the water becomes a little murky. So this is what we want to strain off. And then let me grab the roll down here. And so we're going to just strain this off. I'm going to use a fine mesh sieve and pour this in like so. And we're going to do this, I do it generally about 3 times or until the water runs clear. So we'll pop the millet back into the saucepan, and again adding in the water, using your hands. And it's so nice just to use your hands just to feel and connect. And in this, we can really connect to and honor and be in connection, be in relationship to Mother Earth in our cooking as well. And so, as I'm swirling this around now, I'm just connecting to our beautiful Mother Earth and feeling this gratitude for the gifts that she provides for us. Okay, so that's the second time, and we'll do it one more time. He's back in here. And I think it's really important when we're in the kitchen to consider what state of mind are we in, to really be in this place of acknowledging and just taking a moment to acknowledge that we're coming into the kitchen to really nurture and nourish ourselves and re-establish, reconnect to Mother Earth, our relationship to Mother Earth. And I think that intention alone, creating, it's like being in the kitchen is sacred. We are feeding ourselves, and how we feed ourselves, it's creating our future. It's really determining our future. And not just our future, but the future of our planet as well. And so can you make feeding yourself this sacred, when you come into the kitchen, this sacred experience? And maybe you might have a ritual, and that ritual might be that you light a candle, and maybe you have a little prayer, or maybe you have some nice relaxing music going on in the background. Okay, so that's the millet rinsed. Just put that there. And now we're going to add in a pinch of salt. So we're always adding in salt into cooking grains. And here I'm adding sea salt. One thing that I am always going to stress in cooking is using good, high quality ingredients. So this is sea salt. It's not been processed like your normal regular table salt has been so processed that it doesn't have all of the minerals in there that sea salt has. So I'm just adding in 1 pinch of sea salt, and then I'm going to add in 2 cups of water. So with millet, it's generally 2 to 1. So if you've got 2 cups of millet, say, then you'd add 4 cups of water. So here we've used 1 cup of millet, and we're going to add in 2 cups of water. Now, my little hack here is that I always use freshly boiled water from the kettle, because then it takes less time for the grain to kind of come to a boil. So I'm going to pop that onto the cooker here and add the lid. And then once this comes to a boil, we're going to turn it down and simmer it for 20 minutes. So I've got my timer here ready, which will do that in a moment. Now, whilst I'm here, let me just talk about whole grains, because I think this is something just so important to address. Now, how many of you here are eating whole grains? And by whole grains, I'm not talking about breads or cereals that have been kind of labeled to contain whole grains. I mean the grain which is intact and it's just in its original, fresh, whole state from Mother Earth. Okay, it's been hulled, but it's not been processed in any way. Now, I know for me, before I discovered this way of eating, I literally wasn't eating any whole grains. I thought that white rice was a whole grain, until I discovered that white rice was actually once upon a time brown rice, and that white rice has actually been so processed and just pretty much stripped naked of all of its nutritious value. So by whole grains, I'm talking about things like millet, brown rice, quinoa, barley, oats, amaranth, buckwheat, what else? Rye. These are some of the main ones. So just pause for a moment and ask yourself, are you eating any whole grains? And if not, then why? Now, whole grains are one of the most powerful foods that can help us in creating balance. And I really see and experience whole grains as like our holy grail back to our own wholeness. And by eating them, it's like we are literally transforming our consciousness. And these foods are truly magical, because when we eat them in their whole unprocessed form, we are taking on this energy, which is really just holy. I can't say it in any other way. It's like, it's holy. And the whole grains contain they're like living foods that contain the nutritious bran and germ portions. And they're alive because a new plant can sprout from the seed, from the grain. And they have this potent energy inside of them that it's the energy which I believe is just so powerful in helping to create balance. So whole grains, they also contain complex carbohydrates, which this means that when we eat them, they break down slower in the body. And so whole grains, they help to keep our blood sugar levels steady. And also eating them, because they're broken down slower, they have less of a kind of spiking effect on our blood sugar levels. So there's that. But also by eating whole grains, it's like we are honoring Mother Earth. And, we can see all whole foods that we use as an expression of the feminine. And they're gifts that Mother Earth has given birth to, essentially. And by choosing to eat these, we're honoring Mother Earth, and we're really listening to her call. So if you're not eating whole grains, then I want to invite you to really make a start. And you can start right here with this recipe. Now you can check out your local health food shop or maybe do some research to see where you can find and source whole grains from. And for this particular recipe, millet. And to really know that if you start to introduce them into your diet, just start to pay attention, slow down and start to listen and start to notice their balancing and grounding effect. Okay, so let's get back to these patties. So we've got this millet on, it's now beginning to boil here slightly. So I'm going to turn down the heat. I'm going to turn this down. If you have a flame deflector, this is a flame deflector here, this helps to spread the heat out and it just lowers it slightly. So we can use that if you have one as well, but it's not necessary. Just make sure that your setting is on the lowest setting. So I'm just going to put that underneath and pop the lid on and then set the timer for 20 minutes. So timers are, I find timers just so good in the kitchen. Yeah, just this is going to help remind us and let us know when this is ready. So we're going to get on now. We're going to get on now with getting the rest of the ingredients ready to put into our patties. So we're going to start with, I've got 1 small onion and 1 carrot. If you don't eat onions, you can omit this if you want to. The recipe is just as delicious without it. So we're going to start by taking the skin off of the onions. I'm going to finely grate the onion. So I'm just going to do this in half because it's easier to get the skin off. So let's remove the skin. Okay. And I've got a grater here that's got this fine piece on here. So this is the bit that I'm going to use. And I'm going to grate the onion. And obviously, when you're grating, you need to be careful of your fingers. And so these patties, they are really great to use. You can use them as a snack, or if you want to make them into more of a meal, then you can add in some protein and also, to make my eyes water, you can add in maybe a vegetable dish as well. Today I'm just showing you how to make the patties, and we're going to do a lovely tahini sauce with them as well. Oh my goodness, my eyes are really watering. Some onion goggles. Again, as you're connecting to your food, you can think about, now I'm using this onion which is round, and eaten raw it's very pungent. Oh, but when you cook it, it becomes it can become sweet, especially the longer that you cook it. I don't know if you've ever made onion butter before. That is really delicious. Right, so these bits I'm just going to pop to the side. I'm just going to wash my hands. Okay, so we've got the onion, so that's mostly grated there. And then with these bits, what you can do is finely chop them. I'm just going to finely chop them so I can add them into the patties as well. So we want to make sure that we're using up all of our food and not wasting. So when I made these the other day, as I was practicing the recipe, this didn't happen. So I don't know if it depends on your onion. I use the same grater, so I'm not sure what happened. Okay, so the onions are ready there. So I'm just going to pop that to the side. And then I have 1 carrot, 1 kind of small carrot. I'm just going to chop the end off here. And then I'm just going to grate this in the same way. The carrot has very different energy to some of the rounder vegetables. Oh my goodness, my eyes are still watering. And perhaps the energy of a carrot is for another time. But this way of really looking at food and understanding food and approaching food is really, about looking at the energetic qualities of the food, the energetic nature of the food, and how this kind of impacts our bodies and the effects that it can have. And it's just so powerful to get to know and understand this, and understand how food can really is all the time influencing us and affecting us. I know that when I first came across this information, I was just absolutely mind blown, like, wow, this is so potent. And I believe that this is the way forward. This is how we need to now look at and approach foods. And so I'm really excited to share more of this knowledge with you and with the world, because it's just powerful things. And I believe that all women should know this information. We should truly know how to look after ourselves and how to eat in a way that is ultimately really creating the future that we want to create for ourselves. Okay, so we've got the onions, which are ready, and we've got our grated carrot, which is ready as well. And now we're going to add this into the millet. So I have prepared our millet here. So this one is cooking, but so that we don't have to wait forever for that, not forever, but for another 14 minutes for the millet to cook. I've cooked one here already. So this was 1 cup of millet, the same. And so basically, let me see if I can now move this. I'm going to add in the onion, the finely grated onion, and the finely grated carrot into the bowl. Okay. So just get all of the bits off your grater, adding this in. And then we're going to add in some of our herbs, or I think in the States you say herbs, is that right? That's cute, it always makes me smile. So I am using today some freshly chopped parsley. So we're going to do about 2 tablespoons of our parsley in here. And then about 2 tablespoons of chives as well. And again, if you don't eat chives, if you don't eat the onion family, then you can totally leave those out, that's fine. And we're also going to add into this recipe some shoyu. So shoyu is basically what I like to say is healthy soy sauce, and it's made with soybeans, and it's got some wheat in here, and it's made with sea salt. If you are gluten intolerant, then there's tamari, which is the gluten-free version of this. So again, I really want to stress finding and using high quality ingredients. So I think in most supermarkets, you can buy standard soy sauce, but if you have a look on the label, that's going to have in there probably sugar, probably some kind of preservatives as well. And if we're eating that over a long time, over a long period of time, we're going to create all kinds of imbalance and weakness in our bodies. Oh, there's so much to say on that. So I just want to highlight and stress the importance of sourcing good quality ingredients. I think nowadays we're beginning to see more and more good quality ingredients coming out there in supermarkets, but if you can find a local health food shop, or see if you can source this from these ingredients from somewhere else. So we're going to add into this recipe 2 tablespoons of shoyu, aka healthy soy sauce. So 1, 2, and then the other ingredient that we're going to add in is some mustard. So if you don't like mustard, you can take this out. It will work just as well. So this mustard is organic whole grain mustard with cider vinegar. So again, in most supermarkets, you're going to find sugar and other nasties in there. Whereas this one, it's got cider vinegar, mustard seeds, water, and salt. So I found this in the local health food shop, which is amazing. So watch out for where you can begin to source and get really good quality ingredients from. So here we're adding in 2 tablespoons of mustard. And that is all of our ingredients that we're using for these patties. And now is the time when we get to get our hands in, and we're going to start to just mash and mix the ingredients together. So use your hands to combine the ingredients. And again, as you connect to the food, you can connect to Mother Earth and connect to how she provides for us. Like, are we truly in touch with all that she provides and gives to us, and how bountiful she is, and how forgiving she is, you know, how she just keeps on giving to us, and we keep on taking, harming. And so by eating more natural foods, which are just as close to their natural state as possible, it's like we are helping, because we get away from, we buy less from supermarkets if we come back to eating more whole foods, and we just we'll feel much more connected to nature as a result. Okay, so now we've mixed all of these ingredients together. I'm just going to rinse my hand, and we're going to start to form these into patties. And let me get back this board here. And so you can choose how big you want your patties to be. So you might like really big ones, or you might like to make kind of teeny tiny smaller ones. That's completely up to you. So here, just take them into your hand and use your hands to shape them. So I'm kind of creating like a disc shape. And then there you go. So this here. And when you're creating them as well, try to see if you can make them all of the same size. And it's okay if you don't as well. That's totally fine too. It can just visually be more appealing if everything looks kind of similar in size. So I'm going to do a couple. Let's do 4, and then we'll get them frying over here. Okay. Here we go. So we've got our patties shaped and formed. I reckon I could get another 2 or 3 out of this mixture. Okay. And again, I'm going to give my hands a rinse. And so what we're going to do next is to fry them. So I'm going to pop the frying pan on here. And I'm going to add in my oil. So today I'm using sunflower oil, and this has been unrefined and it's cold pressed. So again, coming back to quality. So here I'm using really good quality, unrefined, cold pressed sunflower oil. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of this into our pan here. I'd say that was about a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half. And then I'm going to add in the patties. So I'm just going to add these into the pan. And then we're going to do this fry these for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. So make sure that your heat is on like a medium heat. And let me see if I can find a spatula. I'll just use my knife for now, I think, instead of banging around the kitchen. So these are the patties, and whilst they're cooking, I'm going to now get on with showing you how to make a really delicious dipping sauce for them as well. So for the dipping sauce, we're going to make a tahini sauce, and this tahini sauce is beautiful. So before I do, I want to talk a little bit about Earth Day and an Earth Day pledge, because this could be a really good opportunity for you as you're here and you're watching this. And if you haven't done this already, to really connect to Mother Earth and to ask yourself, what is a pledge that you could make for this next year of your life and your time on Mother Earth? What is a pledge that you can make that can really honor and show your honoring, your reverence, your connection to Mother Earth? And I know if any of you watched my video, I did a brief meditation yesterday for Earth Day, and I invited you to make a pledge. And so I'd like to invite you to do that now. What is a pledge that you would like to make? For me, I haven't done it yet, and I'm going to write it out and post a picture, but my pledge is that I would like to start to grow my own herbs and perhaps my own wild edible flowers as well, as a way of just connecting more to her and understanding more about, you know, getting my hands in the soil and all that kind of thing. So that is my pledge, or one of my pledges. I think there can be some more. Perhaps another one is to really avoid buying plastic toys for my children. I find it just so heartbreaking to see how there's just so much plastic and how children are so drawn to it. And yeah, so that could be another one, and to really help to educate my children. And if they want plastic, then perhaps we go to a charity shop instead of buying it brand new. Okay, so tahini sauce. Here we go. So we've got our bowl here and the tahini. I'm just going to give this teaspoon a rinse. Tablespoon rather. So this sauce takes these millet patties to another level. I think these patties are nice on their own, but with this sauce, they are like amazing. So tahini sauce, we're going to use some tahini. So tahini is basically ground sesame seeds that have been roasted. I think you can get raw tahini as well. And I'm not a fan of raw tahini, but maybe you are. It's very bitter. Okay, so we've got 2 tablespoons of tahini into a bowl. If you don't like tahini, some people don't like the taste, that's absolutely fine. Then you can use almond butter or maybe peanut butter as well. That's completely fine to use that too as a replacement. Or maybe cashew nut butter, you can use that as well. I'm just using the edge of my knife just to press down these patties into the pan. So we've got 2 tablespoons of tahini. We're going to add in 2 tablespoons of our shoyu. 1, 2, and then we will use some balsamic vinegar here. And this one is a nice organic one. So we'll use 2 tablespoons of, actually I'm going to just do 1 tablespoon of balsamic for now, and then a little bit of apple juice. So this is 100% pressed apple juice. Actually, this is apple and pear juice, but apple juice is fine. So add all this into our bowl, and then I've got this little cute mini whisk. I'm going to mix that up. But before I do, I'm going to turn over these patties. So I'm just going to flip them over. If if it becomes a little bit stuck, then you can use your spatula or your knife just to unstick it. So flip those over and I'll let them cook for another 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, so this is our tahini sauce. And I'm just going to keep mixing this. I've got my little cute baby whisk. You can use a fork or a spoon. If you don't have a little whisk, that works just as well. And just keep mixing it until, I don't know if you can see here, until it comes together and binds together. Okay, and then we have, okay, that's time for the millet to be switched off. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so here we have our delicious tahini sauce, and you can just give it a little taste. Oh my goodness, that's so good. Okay, so that's now ready. And our millet is now done. So as you can see here, this is what it looks like. So all of the water evaporates and it's now cooked. And let me get a spoon, a clean spoon, and show you. Yeah, this is what it's going to look like once it's all cooked. So now I have this spare pot of millet. This can now be, once the millet is cooked, you can use it for to make porridge or to make some other burgers or patties and things with as well. So I'm definitely going to be using this for my porridge in the morning. And to make it into porridge, depending on the quantity I want, so say there's going to be 4 of us eating porridge, yeah, maybe I would take out just a little bit and then add in a bit of water, just enough to kind of cover it, and simmer that for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And sometimes I might blend it. I might put a hand blender in there and blend it just to make it all smooth. And then that'll be a lovely porridge in the morning, which I could serve with maybe some stewed fruit, some stewed apples or something, some toasted nuts or toasted seeds, pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds. And amazing, you have a beautiful whole food, mother energy, nourishing breakfast as well. Okay, so the patties are almost done. Our beautiful millet patties and our delicious tahini sauce, and there you have it.